We grew a lot of onions last season, but not nearly enough for our family of four. This year, I want to grow at least 4 times what we grew last year. Today, I'm going to show you how I'm starting my onion seedlings. I have over 800 seeds here. Last year, I used these small pots and it worked fine, but I wanted to try something different this year. I will be using these aluminum foil trays. I need a bottom tray to catch any extra water, and the top tray will need to have drainage holes. I got this idea from Gary from the Rusted Garden. I think having 2 large trays will be a lot easier than 20 small pots. These are quite deep, and it will give my onion seedlings plenty of space to grow a strong root system. Today is February 17. My last expected frost date is May 4. I could have started these 4 weeks ago since these can be transplanted outside 3 to 4 weeks before the last frost, but it is definitely not too late now. Once the top trays have drainage holes, I can fill them up with seed starting mix. In my last video, I showed you how I made this starting mix using coconut coir as the base. It is important to use seed starting mix that is pre-moistened. Because I just made this mix, mine is nice and moist, but not too wet. If it drips water when you squeeze it in your hand, it means it's too wet. I will add 2 tablespoons of Trifecta Plus to each tray to keep my seedlings well fed until it's time to get them in the ground. Onions are heavy feeders, and my seedlings will stay in these trays for at least 8 weeks. I'm adding the trifecta to the trays rather than my mixing container because I will be using the rest of that mix to start other seeds that don't need trifecta. Now my trays are ready to sow my onion seeds. I have 4 different varieties of onions here, but they all take the same time to germinate and to mature, so I don't need to worry about separating them by variety. The only one I want to make sure is labeled is this Alyssa Craig onion. The seed packet says it's best for fresh eating and it doesn't store very well. I want to make sure I keep these separate from the rest so I know these are the ones that need to be eaten first. There are 3 types of onions: long day onions, intermediate day onions, and short day onions. Long day onions require 14 to 16 hours of daylight, while short day onions only need 10 hours of daylight. Because I live in Michigan, I need to grow long day onions, and someone who lives in the southern part of the US will need to grow short day onions. Make sure you are growing the right type of onion for your region. I'm just going to sprinkle these seeds all over the tray. It's really hard to see where the seeds are falling, but I'm not worried about spacing because onion seedlings are very easy to separate. Their root system is very hardy, and even if they grow very close together, when it's time to transplant outside, I'll be able to separate them without damaging any of their roots. I am pressing down a little bit just so the seeds have good contact with the starting mix. Now I just need to add a little bit of the starting mix, just enough to cover the seeds. That's all there is to starting onion seeds. It's that simple. I will place these trays near a window until they sprout, and once they sprout, I will put them under grow lights for 16 hours a day. When they need to be watered, I will put about half an inch of water in the bottom tray and let the top tray sit in that water for about 30 minutes to absorb as much water as it can. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you give this method a try, and I will see you next time.